Minister has declared it's time for governments to step back out of people's lives as he called for an end to vaccine mandates. Jennifer Beshwadi is in Canberra. Jen, there's been some criticism today.
Criticism from Labor premiers in particular today, angry over the Prime Minister's comments, calling for governments to get out of people's lives and end vaccine mandates. Victoria's Daniel Andrews says he won't be lectured by the Prime Minister and accused him of siding with investors.
I'm committed to doing what has to be done and not about chasing through doublespeak the votes of extremists or their preferences.
Queensland's Deputy Premier also took a swipe at the PM, accusing him of taking both sides of the argument.
The Prime Minister requires journalists to be vaccinated to attend his press conferences. Could a barista in Brisbane be less safe at work than the Prime Minister?
Scott Morrison rejected suggestions he sympathises with extremists.
I completely and totally and continue to denunciate any violence, any threat, any intimidation.
Saying he does have sympathy with COVID restrictions.
Australians have done their part. It's now time for them to be able to step forward with their lives and for governments to step back out of their lives.
Scott Morrison, who received his third COVID-19 vaccine alongside 86-year-old Jane Marlishiak, the first Aussie to get the jab.
We might give the thumbs up today. What do you think? We'll do the thumbs up today.
Says vaccine mandates to enter businesses like pubs and cafes should not be in place after states reach the 80% vaccination threshold.
And this has to come to an end and governments have to step back. Governments have to start letting go of all of these controls on people's lives.
New South Wales will drop vaccine passports on December 15. Queensland will introduce them to enter use from December 17, as will WA once the state reopens. While Victoria has vowed to keep jab restrictions in place well into next year.
Well, I was very clear yesterday in denunciating any violence, threats or intimidation that is applied against anyone. And we have absolutely no truck with that whatsoever. I couldn't have been clearer about denunciating the violence and the threats and the intimidation. They have no place in Australia's public policy debate whatsoever. I have consistently said all the way through that there is a deal with Australians. And that deal with Australians, we said, and particularly as we saw here in New South Wales, Dom, we said, come forward and get vaccinated. In the ACT, they've done that. And in Queensland and Western Australia, we're increasingly seeing that. And I said, when we get vaccinated, when we hit those marks that have been set by the scientific experts at 80%, that's when Australians expect governments to step back and for them to step forward. And that is my government. I'm going to keep the deal with Australians. I've been saying this consistently ever since I put the national plan together and got all of the states and territories to agree to it. With that plan, Australians have earned that. They've kept their part of the deal. I assure you that I intend to keep mine.